Welcome to the Happy Spark Designer, where I take you into a journey to rediscover yourself through self-development so you can get back your happy spark. Hello, how are you? I hope everything is going better and better for all our community. Thank you very much for connecting with us again. Today we have a guest. Malini, how are you?
Good. How are you, Annalise?
Everything good. Could you introduce yourself a little bit so everybody knows about your about?
Sure. Yeah. This is probably the second time I've come on your show. So my name is Malini. I am a host of the Gladiatrix podcast. I have a podcast called Gladiatrix Hear Me Roar that talks about women with amazing journeys based on their life experiences, in spite of all the fears that they had to face. They used to overcome that and do amazing things. And Annalise was also one of my guests on my show. I'm also a life coach and a dancer. So I have been podcasting for about a year. I started June of 2020, and I've been dancing for over 25 years. And yeah.
Thank you for that. And very happy to connect with you again, of course, and that you share all your wisdom and insights. And we will be talking about life purpose as this is the third season, and it's all about that.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, it is very, I think it's very insightful when we share uh, our own experiences because life purpose is something so individual
Mm-hmm.
and it's not for everybody is the same. So um how was with you, how when did you know that exactly, or like how was the process of you realizing, oh, I got it, this is my life purpose? Because life purpose is something so wide, it could be anything.
Right. So, just to give you a quick background. So I'm a mom of two 20 somethings, and they're both settled in their careers. And I was born and brought up in India, and I came to the United States after I got married. And I was a young bride. I was only 20 years old. But I've lived in this country, it's almost 30 some years now in this country, longer than I have lived in India. So my growing up, when you growing up, I all I knew was I needed to make sure I did well in school. I had to get a job. I had to get married and have kids. Okay. If my husband allowed me to work in those days, it was like great. But as I watched the rest of I was one of the young, first ones in my college to get married, and I remember my friends were quite upset because like, I can't believe you're getting married so young. You should, your parents are educated. Why would they let you do this? You should be working before so that you can make your own money. And that was such a foreign concept. So even when my mom, when she was working, she started working after she like had kids and stuff like that, and it was like it couldn't interrupt with the family thing, right? Because it was always the man would work and bring home the money, and if your wife worked, it was like, wow, your wife is like really progressive, because normally the women would just stay home. So growing up, I had a very different vision of what my life would be. But after I got married and I came to this country, because I came here to study, that's how I came on a student visa because I wanted to do my master's. Because I was like, it doesn't matter if I'm getting married or not, I still need to make sure that education is really, really important. If you looked at most Eastern cultures, whether it's, China, Japan, India, any of those cultures, education is very important because that is one thing. Once you have knowledge, nobody can take that away from you. So if you look at most Indians also in the United States, they're very high educated professionals, whether they're doctors or engineers or lawyers or whatever, right? So even today, it's like, what is your profession? You must be a lawyer, doctor, or engineer. And if you're not one of those, then you probably didn't qualify or something. That's the reason why. So so coming to this country, education was given a huge importance, but here it's very different, right? So in India, it's like you had servants to take care of stuff, you had a lot of help at home, joint families are very common, but over here you're very independent, very nuclear. I did not know anybody when I came. I mean, I had no family here. My husband's one brother was here, but other than that, they lived so far away. We barely saw anybody, right? So it was a very different kind of a lifestyle. And for me, it was like, I missed home. Oh my God, I was homesick. So I never wanted to leave. So it was very hard for me. But then, you grow up here, you learn to kind of go with the system, you learn to figure things out. You have kids, you raise your children. Your life purpose changes because at that moment it's like you come to a different country with more opportunities because you want your children to have a better life than you did. Right? You want to have a better life. Your parents want you to have a better life than they did. And as parents, you want your children to have a better life than you did. So you give them all the opportunities. So everything is like geared around raising your children with the right opportunities so they can become better than you, right? So then once you're married and have kids, your life purpose changes because your focus is all on your children. Now that my children are grown, it's like I'm empty nester and now I have to figure out, okay, what do I want to do now? So now it is not about my children anymore. Now it's like, how can I make a difference to the people around me and the society that I'm living in based on the knowledge that I have and based on what I've learned in my, good years in this country, right? So now my life purpose is different. But when you look at what do I want to be when I grow up, you're going to have to do many things. You're going to have so many different skills. You're going to learn so many different things. But when you look inside of you and you think about what are you really, really good at. So right from the beginning, I have always been very good with people. I love talking to people, meeting new people. I love teaching. So right from a very young age, it was like I always had a bunch of kids following me around because I'd keep them entertained. Like, oh, you'd be really good as a parent because look how well you are with children. You'll be really good with teachers because that was an acceptable profession, right? Because women would go into professions that are, oh, at least you could go and come back, before your husband comes home from work. So being a teacher is a good job. But I don't mean to knock teachers because I did become a teacher. I went to, because I had a degree in education. Teaching is a very noble profession. A lot of people in my family were all, a generation of teachers. My grandfather was one. He had his own school and everything. So when you look at your life's purpose, you look at what the skills are that you are really good at, and how can you use that to make a difference to the people around you. So now when I look at it, right, so based on my experiences that I've had growing up, and based on my experiences in this country, based on how I see the way I've raised my children and seeing the struggles that they go through, being a person of color in the United States, my purpose right now is my life's purpose is to empower women because I know how I felt, being not being allowed to do certain things or say certain things, um, and in this country with all the movements that are happening with this Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, you see, colonialism and how the impact of that has happened, not having women leaders in positions of power with the wage gap, the gender equality, and all of that. So, based on what I have learned in being in this country, my life's purpose is to empower women, right? Because I want them to be able to speak up. And I know the women of my generation, they probably won't because they've been brought up not to speak up. I see my children and they're very brave. They're so happy to, pound pavement and, they march and say things like being standing up uh, for the downtrodden who are not able to, for the underdog, So when I watch the younger generation, whether it's the millennials or um, uh, the younger generation and the kids that are being born right now, they're so brave. And I look at them and I'm like, wow, I wish I could say something. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can't say something. So I'm using my platform, whether it's my podcast or Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, to speak my truth because I can. Now there's the medium of the social media that allows you to speak to thousands, millions of people at one time. It's such a powerful medium. So when asking other people is like, what is your life's purpose? How did you figure out what you wanted to do? Well, as you grow older and you learn new skills, you always find something to do. And if it makes a difference to even one person, and it changes the life of one person, I think then, we're on the right path. Because my podcast is called Gladiatrix Hear Me Roar, and it is for women, about women, to women, and men, to inspire them to be brave and do brave things in spite of, it doesn't matter what is happening around you. Kind of step outside of that, outside your comfort zone, and do what is in your heart. When you feel really strongly about it, you will automatically gravitate towards that.
I like very much that you share the first phase, if you could say, about your life when you were a mother.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, I think that a lot of mothers, they don't realize how important is their role,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people undervalue that. And so, per se, that's a life purpose. And so, not everybody will be thinking that being a mother is on purpose, and it is. And it's one of the most rewarding and tough uh, jobs, you could say.
Oh
I
yes.
I don't
Oh
have
yes.
kids, but I have seen it. I admire a lot of mothers. I have seen so much effort in. I mean, nobody actually is ready to be a parent. You just learn through the process, and that's very brave overall already.
Yes, no, because nobody gives you an instruction book to say this is
Yes.
how you're supposed to raise your children, right? So you look around you and you look at your role models and you hope and pray that you're doing the right job because you want them to have the best life, the best of everything. So you're preparing them because we always believe that the children are a gift to you, and they are with you for borrowed time, only for a short time. And during that time, you want to give them all the values and all the opportunities and all the knowledge, and then when they turn 18 or whatever, you hope, that you have given them all the fundamentals so that when they go out into the world, they're able to make decisions that are right for them. And you may not agree with everything that they do. The hardest part for a parent is to stand on the sidelines and watch them fall. And you so badly want to fix it for them, right? You're like, no, 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 I'll do it for you. But if you don't let them do it, they are going to fail because they need to learn to pick themselves up and keep going, right?
And
You
also
can't,
that's
you cannot do it for them.
And also, that's the part of exploration where you start to understand yourself as an individual. And if your parents don't allow you to have that space, it's counterproductive. I think is that they are enabling you to not keep growing and see, oh, how I could do it better, and not depending on the parent, the mother or the father, to fix that for them.
Hmm.
So you have to keep that balance. And so, sis, you were mentioning this transition of yours from having the main life purpose of being a mom, and then switching into a podcaster. So
Hmm.
in between that, could you share with us, as far as you remember, how was that process of, because it's just going from mom to podcaster, because now your kids are grown ups. And so how was that time between one ending, if you could say ending, well, ending in quotes, because you will never end to be a mom, you
Hmm.
always be, but how was the transition? If you think about life purpose, right, those steps that you took.
Well, it's an interesting story because I wasn't planning on becoming a podcaster. It just so happened. I got laid off, and then I ended up leaving the U.S. and traveling the world for a year. And I came back, and right before COVID hit, and then they shut down the borders, and I was kind of like, oh, so I went from traveling around the world in a suitcase to not going anywhere and staying at home. But I had met all these amazing people and had such amazing stories to tell, and I had learned so much about myself, having traveled the world by myself because I've never done that before. Um, that I wanted to tell all these stories, and I'm like, what do I do now? And that's when the option of being able to do podcasting came up. I'm like, well, it's COVID. I can't go anywhere. Can't do anything. Might as well this is the best time to tell the stories. And so I remember, looking up podcasting, and I was like, oh my God, it's so hard. And people were like, do you even have any idea what you're doing? Do you even? And I'm like, well, you know what? If it doesn't cost too much of money, and I can able to sit at home and do it, why not? At least keeps me engaged. I can talk to people from anywhere. Thank God for the internet and a computer, right? Because that's all you need. And I actually was planning to travel around the world because I wanted to travel to every single country in the world. That was my goal. And there are 193 countries, and I love traveling. So I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Well, I came back and COVID hit, and I was like, okay, so I can't travel to every country, but I can talk to people from every single country. And that's so much cheaper and easier when you're on the internet. You just need to make sure that you talk to get to the right groups and stuff. And so that's how I started doing podcasting, and I try to get women from hear their stories and get them on and everything. And I'm learning every day. I'm no expert, let me tell you. I'm still learning. I make a lot of mistakes. Yeah. So it was an interesting transition because I was like, I worried about what people say, and and everybody else is like, how many downloads do you have, and how big are your episodes? And I'm like, for me, it was never about that. It was like it was great in the beginning, but I'm like, for me, it's all about storytelling. So I'm like, if you have a great story to tell, I want other people to hear it because storytelling is an art form when you think about it. And if you think about all the stories that you've heard as a child, it's like your grandmother telling you stories, bedtime stories, right? These are stories from generations and thousands of years ago. And especially as a dancer, my art form is 5,000 years old, and we are continuously telling stories that are, ancient, but we're keeping it alive by continuing to tell stories. So for me, it was like just another medium to tell a story of a different kind.
If somebody comes to you and asks you, hey, how do you get into that point of knowing your life purpose? What kind of hints or advice or tips, however you want to call it, will be given to that person?
Well, I would say number one is write down all the things that you're really good at, you know, and the things that it comes naturally to you, right? Um, and look at all the things that you're doing right now, because you would be working at a job because you had to pay rent, but you would be uh, maybe you'd be doing teaching swimming on the sideline because you love to swim, or you'd be teaching painting to children because you love to paint. So your life purpose is never about one thing that you're doing at that moment in time. It is the one thing that gives you joy. And when it gives you joy, it is not work. It uh, it fulfills you. Because you're like, oh, I just need to make this thing and I'm going to sell it and I'm going to make money, right? But sometimes making money doesn't fulfill you on the inside. You could be doing all these things and making tons of money, but you'd still be unhappy. But you could be going and working on a farm and helping a farmer figure out how to grow their crops or whatever, and when you see the fruit of the labor, you plant the seeds and you get the crop at the end, and the joy that you get from uh, feeding somebody, gives you so much of joy. It's like, wow, when you're making a difference in somebody else's life, is when you know you're on the right path. You will feel happy inside. You don't need validation from somebody on the outside. You need validation from yourself. You have to feel happy. That's when you know. You have to listen to yourself because they always say the answers, you don't have to go and ask anybody. You ask the question, you will get the answer, and the answer always comes from within. So when you start listening to yourself, you will know when you are on the right path.
Beautiful. Exactly. I agree with all that. And I highlight it as well and promote that. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's a very um, simple but very wise way of telling somebody how to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
How to start exploring, because it's an internal work and nobody will be able to tell you what is your life purpose. It's something you need to work on with yourself.
Yep.
And part of that is when you have put some time investing in you and understanding you as a human being. And so that opens a lot of opportunities for you to keep expanding and keep improving, and of course, in a fulfilling and meaningful way in life. So thank you very much for that. Is there anything you would like to share with us before we leave?
Yep. I just want to say, if anybody out there is listening to this and has an amazing story to tell, I would love to hear about it, and so that it could be shared with the rest of the world. And yeah, that's it.
That's perfect. Yes, it's good to let it out, to share it. We learn from each other, and we all are one, and we should support each other in all our endeavors, because at the end, we all are affecting each other with our good deeds. So, and with our bad deeds as well. So we
That's
have to
right.
be careful with some of that. So I'm sending you lots of love and light, Malini. Thank you very much for this, and for our community as well. Please be safe and just try to be on your sacred space. Have some time for you to quiet your mind a little bit, and in these moments mainly. So thank you very much. And until we connect again, get back your happy spark.